Hi everybody, my name is Ben. I'm a co-founder and co-owner of Imaginism Studios and Schoolism.com. I have a class on Schoolism called The Business of Art, so if you're interested in turning your art into a business, hopefully that will be helpful to you. I did a Q&A on Discord recently and I got this email afterwards. Hi Schoolism Help Desk, this is a question for Ben. In the last Q&A he said if there was something he didn't cover we could write in, so I'm doing that. I hope he doesn't mind, lol. So Ben talked about earning cash at conventions and how his friend just puts it in his pocket and doesn't report it on his taxes. That's illegal, right? What's the legal thing to do and what's the practical thing to do, if you know what I mean? I was a little lost at this point in the Q&A. Also, what if I'm paying for something for my business and the person says they can include tax or give me a discount if I pay cash? Can or should I do that? If they don't offer it up front, can I ask them to give me a break if I pay cash, or is that illegal too? Thanks in advance. Best regards, Dave from San Diego. In my class, I stress the importance of keeping a book in which you would keep track of all the money coming in and all the money going out of your business. Now, in the normal pipeline, what happens is you spend money on materials or equipment that you will use to make the products or provide the services that you would charge money for. And these expenses, obviously, they come out before you make any money at all. The expenses come up front. Then you sell your products or your services and you have money coming in, and both your expenses and your revenue gets recorded into your business accounting, and that is the normal pipeline. Now, when a vendor takes cash but doesn't give you a receipt, what they're really doing is they're disrupting the money coming in part. Because typically when you buy something, there's a paper trail involved because you bought it online or you swiped a credit card. There's an intermediary somewhere, like a bank or PayPal, that takes your money and gives it to the vendor. A business can't hide the fact that it made money because the intermediary has proof of that transaction. When you pay cash though, there's no intermediary. The only paper trail is the receipt that the vendor gives you. If the vendor doesn't give you a receipt, then the money that you paid just kind of vanishes from an accounting standpoint. I mean, they could still report it in their accounting, but if they didn't, no one would know, which is why the vendor in this case would be willing to give you a discount or not charge you tax. This is totally illegal. It's basically tax evasion. Now, the problem that the vendor has is they spent money on materials, but no money came in, which is a loss, which is good for the vendor because it reduces their taxes. But if they get audited, the auditor might ask, why are there all these expenses, but there's no money coming in? Some businesses have an easier time explaining this than other businesses do. Like if a restaurant is expensing ingredients, but no money is coming in, they might tell the auditor, well, that food went bad before we could sell it, and so it's a loss. In the case of an art business, the vendor might have spent money on inks and on paper to make all these prints, and the colors were all wrong. And so all of those prints were trash, and that would be a loss. Now, these could be legitimate reasons for a business taking a loss, but if these losses happen year after year in a cash-heavy business, well, an auditor is going to get suspicious. Because if a business is losing tons of money year after year, at least on paper, an auditor will question, how is this business even staying afloat? Why is this business person even doing business in the first place? And that will prompt the auditor to look more closely at the business owner to see whether or not the business owner is making more money than they're reporting. They'll look for evidence such as, does the individual live in a big house? Do they drive an expensive car? Do they go on lavish vacations? You can't make big purchases with cash. So at some point, there will be a paper trail for an auditor to follow. Now the first part. I already said that pocketing cash from cash sales and not reporting it is illegal. But is it practical? My friend Gary, whom I referenced in my Q&A, asked me a philosophical question once. He said, do you think it's possible for a company to be successful following all the rules? I'll let you come to your own conclusions about that. Experienced vendors that I've spoken to at conventions, what they do is, because they keep their book up to date, they know down to the dollar how much it costs them to table at a certain convention. This is partly why I stress over and over in my class the importance of being organized and maintaining an up-to-date book. So, say they know that it costs them $2,000 to table at a particular convention. Then say they make $4,000 in cash sales that weekend. They could disappear the whole $4,000, since typically their customers don't ask for a receipt. Then they can book a $2,000 loss, at least on paper, for that convention. But if an auditor saw this, they would be like, you spent $2,000 on tabling at a show and made no money? That's suspicious, right? And so they would start digging. So instead, what these vendors would do is they would book $2,500 in revenue. And so minus the $2,000 in costs that they incurred, they made $500. And to an auditor, that might look more reasonable, while the vendor disappears the extra $1,500 and essentially evades taxes on that, which, again, is illegal. So don't do it. As a customer though, as far as I know, it's perfectly fine for you to ask for a discount if you pay cash. I mean, you can ask for a discount for any number of reasons, whether that's because you're paying cash or because you're buying more than one item or because you're referring your friend to come also give this company business, whatever. You paying your part of the transaction, that's your responsibility. What the vendor does with your money afterwards is none of your concern. And so if you ask a vendor, can they give you a break if you pay cash? That should be perfectly fine. Now, Dave talks about buying things for your business with cash. And that's fine. But remember, if they give you a discount, they might not give you a receipt. And if the thing that you're buying is for your business, you need a receipt to go with the expense entry that you put into your book. So if that's the case, you're better off paying the tax and getting a receipt so that you can expense that item than to get an immediate discount up front by paying cash. Because even if you're paying tax on that expense, when you file your company's taxes, you will get that tax money back. So I hope that helped. If you find this type of content interesting, please consider liking and subscribing. If you have questions about starting or running an art business, you're welcome to email me at info@schoolism.com and I will try to answer your question in a future video. Thanks for watching.